Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albracht and Tommy Castor.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Sports Daily. Jacob Albracht, Tommy Castor with you all morning. Next couple hours here on KFH. Glad to be with you. That IHOP hotline is open at 869-1240. Try that 2x2x2 right now at IHOP. 2 eggs your way, 2 bacon strips of pork sausage links, and 2 buttermilk pancakes for just $7. You can reach us there. You can reach us on our video stream on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. You can listen to us on the Odyssey app. You can listen to us on your smart speaker. Just ask it to play KFH. All kinds of different ways you can get in touch with the program. We've got a lot to talk about today. We have a Stanley Cup in the books. As promised yesterday before we went on the air, I watched Stanley Cup Game 7. I can't provide a lot to you, but we'll get you a little insight on that. It's always good to see a Game 7. A College World Series there. And a native Kansan is the most outstanding player. Another big home run last night for Dylan Dreiling, the Hayes native. Been very awesome to see his run through the college baseball postseason. His story is awesome, and he will likely go into the pros. But very, very cool stuff there from Dreiling last night. The Royals get bounced back. They get a big win. Good to see that, certainly. It's what they needed to do. Don't want to put a bunch of roses on it. They did what they were supposed to do. And that's good because they have not been doing what they are supposed to do. But good to see them back in the win column, certainly, as they stare down the barrel of a really, really big series later this week. Cleveland won last night, too. Kind of a bummer. But we'll get you a prize to the standings, everything happening there as well. It was a pretty interesting and busy Monday night, Tommy.
Yeah, a lot going on. And you kind of recapped all of it. And really, for me, we've got the NBA Finals all wrapped up now. We've got the Stanley Cup all wrapped up, College World Series all wrapped up. I mean, it's Major League Baseball, really, until we get to training camp, kind of right around the corner for the NFL, and then we'll get back into that season. But it's going to be dominated by Major League Baseball here moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future. And so, exciting to watch those championship games wrap up. Congratulations to Tennessee. Of course, Texas A&M heavily favored in the College World Series and all of that, but Tennessee able to get the victory last night and win the national championship there. And of course, the Stanley Cup too. We talked about it yesterday a little bit about, how cool it would be, at least from my perspective, to see Edmonton come all the way back from down 3-0 and win. Weren't able to do that. The Panthers avoid an epic collapse and ultimately win the Stanley Cup. So yeah, an exciting night of sports last night.
Yeah, and I did find myself, I think, rooting for Edmonton as I was watching it. I didn't know who I was going to root for. I do think it's kind of fun that USA has this long streak over Canada in general for Stanley Cup. I mean, it's their thing, right? And we've owned it. Just at least as far as the team goes. The players are obviously from all over the world. But I did find myself rooting for Edmonton. But I also like when franchises get their first of anything, right? And Florida was able to do that. So it's kind of cool. Look, I don't know what I thought about the game last night. The third period and the ending was phenomenal. I thought it was a little slow. I thought it was a little bit slow.
I mean, it wasn't a high-scoring game. Sometimes those games that get
there just weren't a lot of good
6-5 or whatever.
Good attempts, even. It's not. I don't mind the score, but it didn't ever feel like we were getting great opportunity. And I know that's kind of, and Jad can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's kind of what Florida does, from what I gather, is they make that really hard on you to get good opportunities. There at the end, they finally got some, and I was like, all right, now we're going. Now we're cooking, and the saves was really exciting. But I did think it was a little slow to get there, and shame on me. I'm not a hockey expert, so maybe I'm an idiot. I'm fully willing to be on hockey, just as an observer, though. But, it was a good series. You almost had history. You almost had the down 3-0 thing happen, which is always thrilling because we know how hard that is in any sport. But they didn't get it done. In Florida, Miami, hockey town, right? Miami, the hockey town. Gets it done over Edmonton, a true hockey town. But here we are again, and Canada still can't beat the USA, so it's not all losses. Speaking of that, we didn't mention this because it's not that important to this show, but did you see Travis Kelce? Speaking of USA pride, did you see him across the pond in London?
I did. Yeah, I got a couple glimpses of that. Hard to stay away from it.
Well, I did until yesterday. Once I get on set with the news, and we have our hour-long 4 o'clock newscast, a lot of that slips in. Plus, our meteorologist there's a huge Swiftie, so our producer likes to get some Taylor Swift nuggets in there, and the Travis Kelce thing makes it relevant too. Anyway, there might not be anything in pop culture I care less about. Well, there are two things. There is one thing I care less about than the royal family in England, and it's like the Kardashians, maybe our royal family. But I mean, I don't care. I hate it. I hate when we have to read story. I'm like, why is this important to us? I don't get the phenomenon around being born into this celebrity. Like, it's just not interesting to me. And so we get into that, and of course, it's Taylor Swift with a selfie with one of the people in the royal family. I don't even know who it was. But there in the
Prince
back,
William, I believe.
Prince somebody.
Yeah.
I don't even. I again, like, I am the last person. I got a good story about that. I may have told it before in just a second. But anyway, there's Travis Kelce in the background. What does he have on? Team USA hat. And I was just like, yes, yes. That is what I'm talking about. That had to be intentional. I love everything about that. Sitting right behind, like, was this guy the future king of England or something? I think maybe, or he's one of them. He's the son. I don't know. But just sitting right behind him there at their place.
Yeah,
Travis Kelce.
No, he'll
Team
be
USA.
I mean,
cap.
barring something crazy,
Yes.
I think he'll be the next king. I don't probably.
That's correct.
If you know the least about the royal family, I probably know next to least about the royal family, but I think he will be, the next king, assuming that what's the king's name, Jad? King, what's his name? He's only been king for a short period of time.
Charles, isn't
Charles, yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming that he kicks the bucket here. He's fairly old, I think. I don't.
No, he's
Yeah, I
old.
don't-
Yes.
Why are we talking royal family?
He's
I don't
not.
know. I don't
like
understand.
the Queen of England. Okay, so I got a good royal family story. This is total left turn. So the I felt this way for a long time. I just don't understand why we care, right? I don't get it. It's not interesting to me. I don't like the concept of being born into power like that. Like, go earn it. Like, the whole thing just is like, I'm contrarian. So I'm in Vegas one time. This would have been, this has been a long time ago, 15 years ago, probably. I'm in Vegas. I don't even remember where we're staying. I'm in a poker tournament. And I don't know if you've been in a Vegas poker tournament. They're like nerve-wracking. They're so fun and exhilarating, and like, it's intense, and it's so fun. So I'm sitting there at this table, and I'm hanging around, but I'm not really gonna do anything. And it was, it had been to a point where I'd have been in a couple hours, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. So this guy and this guy, maybe next to me, maybe not. He's a British dude, and we're just like, we're kind of to the point where we're just going to kind of make an ass of ourselves. And so we're just having fun, being loud, being crazy, being obnoxious. And I don't know. Anyway, we're in there, and we both go. He's like, I'll go blind all in if you go blind all in. And so we both go blind all in. And I think I lost, and he was still in there. I think that's how it went. So anyway, fast forward a little while. And I'm in the bathroom, and I'm in the stall, like the urinal stall. And you know that trick you play on your buddies where, like, they're in there and you kick them in the butt, and it just like makes them kind of jolt forward a little bit, like if they're in the stall. Anyway,
Never played that one with my friends. Yep. You got different bathroom
like
games than I do.
It's like the prank. It's just like the little prank. Like, you just give them a little nudge to knock them forward a little bit. Somebody does that to me, and I'm like, what in the world? I'm in Vegas, and it's this British dude, and I turn around. And of course, he's just laughing, and I laugh with him. And in his hand is a grocery bag with Keystone Light Tall Boys. And I'm like, what I can't remember is why Keystone Light came up, but that was my cheap beer of choice when I was this age, like maybe 21, 22 years old. And I'm like, no way. And so anyway, we party that night, and I end up in the hot tub with he and his wife drinking Keystone Light Tall Boys.
This is taking a weird turn.
I know. Getting a lesson on British royalty and why it matters. Now, the problem with all that is they tried to explain it all to me, like why it's still important over there. But we'd been partying in Vegas all night. Like, I don't remember what he told me. I just remember we were drinking Keystone Lights, and I appreciated that so much that for whatever reason, like, he found me and brought me a Keystone Light. But I still don't remember why it was important. Long story short, to the royal family, like, that to me is the only interesting thing that has ever come about because of the royal family, was that random night in Las Vegas where I met a very nice British couple and shared a Keystone Light with them.
That's the strangest story that I think I've ever
Isn't that a strange
tell.
story?
Like you're playing weird bathroom games with a British guy.
It's not
then
a
you
weird
end
bathroom
up then you
game.
end up in the hot tub with him and his wife. Like that sounds like
I tell that
the
certain
intro
I tell
of
that
a movie that
I tell
most
that
people
story
aren't allowed to watch.
Yeah, I tell that story a certain way for a reason, because it is wacky and outrageous. You're held up on the getting nudged in the urinal forward a little bit.
I am.
That's not even a game. That's a very common like prank you'd play on a buddy when they're trying to pee. You just like nudge them forward so they. Jad, back me up on this, please. Like I
cannot back you up on this.
Thank you,
I'm
Jad.
sorry.
What in the world?
Thank you, Jad.
Can somebody like what are we doing here?
You know why
like,
they call it?
Not,
you know why they call it doing your business? Because it's business. It's not fun. It's not like I'm going in there to like have a good time and like hang around, and it's like I'm gonna get the job done and get the heck out.
You guys have never messed. Oh my God, what is happening right now? Can somebody back me up on this?
I think about the most that's ever happened to me in something like that was somebody getting out a stopwatch to time it because it was funny. But that didn't involve touching anyone else. That was just a stopwatch
keep
and
your
laughing.
hands to yourself in the bathroom.
It's not hands. It's like when somebody's standing still and their legs are locked and you kick one of them to make them kind of like jolt forward a little bit. It's all, you guys are weirdos. Anyway, that's not the point of that.
We're the weirdos. We're the weirdos in this story. Okay.
That is not the point. The point is, go Travis Kelce for wearing a Team USA hat. Team USA all the way. USA wins another Stanley Cup. Sorry, Canada. Maybe next time. That was the point of all of that. That was a 10-minute story to say, way to go, Travis Kelce. Tip of the cap for wearing the Team USA. Across the pond when everything's about London. No, you got to represent. And I appreciated that about Travis Kelce. Anyway.
Do you like the top hat, by the way, that Travis Kelce was rocking when he was out on stage?
I didn't see a lot of that part. I saw it for just a second.
And he carried her at one point too. He was like,
I'm looking
walking around the stage and carrying her. I mean, it was quite an ordeal.
Well, okay, so you say that, and I just was, because I saw that he was trending for some reason, and I just looked, and so now I'm watching this video of him carrying her. But all of her dancers were wearing top hats, so he was just kind of dressed like the rest of them. I think it looks like to me, which is fine, which is cool. What do you think of the Dave Grohl Taylor Swift beef, John? John, back me up, please. 869-1240. The IHOP hotline is open. Go ahead, John.
Absolutely. I'm shocked that nobody else seems to know what you're talking about. It is, in fact, common. It happened all the time when I was a kid. And it's either a great prank or it's tragic because you overdid it and somebody smacks their head on the tile.
Or they've had too many Keystone Lights.
But it's not only a part of my past, it's pretty common.
The good news is, John, they also think that's funny, apparently, in England, because this guy clearly knew that routine and thought it was hilarious. And looking back, it was. Now, had it been a stranger, it might have been a little weird, but it was
that
well
would
played.
be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you,
I'm glad to hear that it is.
Yeah. Thanks, John. At least they know how to have a good time over there. They don't know, they don't know why it's not cool to have, kings anymore.
They also refer to a bathroom as a loo. So if that tells you anything,
in England, isn't that like a French word?
They're gonna go to the loo. You didn't know that? I mean, you knew that clearly they kick each other in the urinals, but you didn't know they call it a loo. I
don't know. I've never been to England.
Okay,
a lavatory or a loo. Oh, I thought you meant like the place where they have all the art, the Louvre. Got it.
You want a strange urinal story? How about just a strange urinal? I have seen one in a public bathroom, porcelain from floor to 12-foot ceiling.
Like the whole way up the wall?
All the way up the wall. Individual stalls, but they went from floor to ceiling.
Maybe that's because too many people were playing this prank I'm talking about, and it goes.
I was going to say
it shoots all the way up there.
That prank you were talking about would be devastating in that particular bathroom.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. Speaking of urinal things, because why not? What do you guys think of trough urinals? Like the old ballparks where it's like a trough.
In an old stadium, everybody just gathers around a big trough.
Yeah.
I love that those are going out of style. I really
those
do.
are a little. I was never a big locker room guy. I wasn't a huge fan of the trough thing. Outside, I guess it doesn't bother me. Like everybody line up on a tree. But yeah, the trough thing inside, like that's a little. But you move quick. I will say that you get in and out of there real quick. I laugh every time we go to a big venue and you just look at the lines for the men and the women, and it's like, man, you guys have got to figure something out to speed this up a little bit.
They could just move the trough from the men's restroom to the women's restroom, and
that
might speed things along a little bit.
That would be something. I have before gone, because like you get to that when you're trying not to miss anything. Like sometimes you can just, like, if you're with a group of girls, you can be like, ladies, I know this is weird, but like if you just want to cut that line, nobody's using the stalls right now. Like you could probably pop in there and it's no big deal. I don't know, how did we get on this? This is crazy.
The royal family. That started with the royal family.
And I love every time. Yeah, I know. And every time I hear the royal family, it reminds me of that story. It's one of my favorite, like, weird, random things that's ever happened that could have gone like 1,000 different real strange directions, and it was like
sounds
totally
like it did.
most normal. No, it wasn't. It was just like you met.
That's the most normal outcome of that entire encounter, because that sounds like that would be one of the more bizarre.
No. That could have been way more bizarre. It was not. Go Team USA. All right. So we've gotten through nothing here in the first segment other than to say USA wins the Stanley Cup again. So I hope that if you're a hockey fan, Jab, what did you think of that last night before we take a break? We'll come back with Royals. What did you think of the hockey last night? Am I right? Was it a little slow early or okay?
Yeah, your analysis was pretty much right on. It was slow but it was also, that was kind of expected. Edmonton was responding to the way Florida kind of plays a sort of pick and chip sort of offense. And Edmonton, to actually get back into the series, had to figure out how to kind of respond to that. And unfortunately, a lot of times that means either one of two things. It means either a really high-scoring, fast-paced game, or a game where just not a lot of offense goes back one way or another. You get one side with some really long, and Edmonton was pretty much in this for at least the first two periods, really long shifts in the offensive zone with almost no production. You saw that a whole bunch in the first and second.
Definitely felt like Edmonton was uncomfortable. So I'm glad that I saw that correctly. But it was exciting. I mean, the end was awesome. Like they had 2 or 3 really good opportunities and couldn't get it through. But that's out there. Team USA, if you want to chime in on the Stanley Cup, feel free. You can leave your comments where most people are making fun of where the show has gone for the first 19 minutes. So you can join that conversation, or you can join another. We're going to talk Royals when we come back. Let's set up our first giveaway. We're going to hang tight if you're looking for Damn Jam tickets, because we're going to do that giveaway today in the second hour. We did first hour yesterday. We'll do second hour today. So in the first hour, we'll give away our HTO iced tea, more than 20 flavors, Wichita East, West, or in Derby, and you can get some free rain coffee as well on us. It's our text to win contest. All you got to do is text the keyword TEA to short code 20357. 1 entrance per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck, everybody. We'll come back. Royals finally get that win they needed. Now can they turn it into a win streak? We'll have more after this.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
On your way to work and want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car with the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com, you can. Just download the app or visit Odyssey.com, search for KFH. Download the Odyssey app today and get started. Good luck with our iced tea and coffee HTO giveaway. Just text that keyword TTEA to 20357. Tommy, the Royals get it done last night. Cole Reagans was good again. As sharp maybe as he's been in a while, 11 strikeouts in just 6 innings. So he was a dominant force in that game. And the Royals, they didn't do it with runners in scoring position necessarily because they had 3 solo home runs. And, that's sort of what that pitcher, Roddery Munoz, is. He gives up home runs, and the Royals took advantage of it. They got enough, 4-1. Bullpen was good. And that was what they need to be doing against the Marlins. Now they need to do it 2 more times.
Yeah, I'm just happy that offensively the Royals were able to finally back up Cole Reagans. It took a while. It was a little bit of a slow start. They went the first 3 innings without scoring, extending that scoreless streak to 25 innings. But luckily it ended at 25 in the 4th inning with those 3 runs. And, it was nice to see Hunter Renfroe with a home run, his, first kind of game back and being able to get back, into the swing of things at the big league level after that broken toe that he had. Michael Massey back. So some reinforcements there offensively, I think, which is much needed for Kansas City. But we talked yesterday about how Cole Reagans has had all of these quality starts and these really solid outings. But for whatever reason, when he's been on the hill, the Royals have not had really much offense to support him and back him up. And luckily they were able to do that last night. It certainly didn't come easy for them, but hopefully that's kind of the spark that they need to get things going more consistently from an offensive perspective.
And now they get Lugo on the mound tonight against, one of the better pitchers, I'll say, for Miami. Maybe their best. Chirinos is okay, but that's still not anybody the Royals need to be afraid of by any means. And you get Lugo out there and you get a chance to build a little momentum, and you get a lot of games at home here, and they just need to win them. If you go to the wild card right now, Baltimore did lose. So technically speaking, they gained a game on Baltimore. I don't think that's what we're terribly worried about at the moment. Problem is Cleveland, Minnesota, Boston all win. They're all on some sort of winning streaks right now. So, I mean, you didn't lose any ground there, which I suppose is good news, but you just got to keep winning. Can't worry too much about those things at this point. For the Royals, they just have to get back to what it is they do. Like at some point, we're looking at standings and we're worried about all these things, rightfully so. For them, it's really just about trying to become the team they were in May again, I think, as much as anything else. Like just wash it away. They're getting healthy, right? Walker's back now. Massey's back now. Renfro's back now. That excuse is out the window. We don't get to make that excuse anymore if you're the Royals. They plant Massey right back there in the 5-hole. He gets a hit, scores a run. So clearly has an impact there. And they're healthy. And they'll get, when is the next time Walker pitches again on
the Guardians
opener against Cleveland?
Against the Guardians,
yeah. So, you're healthy. This is it. Like they have no significant injuries to speak of right now. So this is it. Now play like you were playing before these players got hurt. And that will go a long way, regardless of what everybody else does. Cleveland, that series is going to take care of itself. But everything else, it's just about playing the way we know they're capable of playing. And at least taking care of this business at home, because then they're going to have to prove it on a road trip right after this, which is an interesting road trip because it starts with 2 bad teams and then it goes to Boston in what, sort of looms as a pretty big looking series. So you just like, you'd like to see them catch their groove, obviously before the Cleveland series, but certainly before the next road trip. And if it is going to be that kind of a weird split, season where they're just so much better at home than they are on the road, then you got to be really, really good at home to make that work. You have to be. And again, I know that I use this example all the time, Tommy, but it is odd how parallel sometimes these things are. If you look at last year's World Series champion, what do you think their road record was?
500, somewhere around there.
1 game under 500.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Go look at who they beat. Who's the other? Arizona. What do you think their road record was?
Not great. I'm guessing it was under 500.
41-40. It was right a game over.
Okay,
so you had the 2 World Series teams essentially as 500 teams on the road. Not great on the road, right? And if you're looking at that and just I use that as an example to say, if the Royals are great at home, that can be enough. The problem for the Royals right now is not even halfway through the season. They're 6 games under 500 on the road. So, yes, you can be a team that is much better at home than on the road and accomplish what you want to, but you can't be this bad on the road.
Isn't that the kind of the philosophy in a lot of other sports? You're talking football, you're talking basketball. I know college basketball, that's the, conversation all the time with home court advantage. Like, win your games at home and do your best to split on the road. That's kind of been a philosophy. And I don't think that really gets translated to baseball because the sample size is so much larger. But at the same time, I do think that there is a little bit of truth in that, because as you mentioned, you go back to both of the teams that were represented in last year's World Series, and both of them were about 500 on the road. They split basically on the road, and then they were able to win, a lot more of their games at home. So I do think that there is something to that a little bit. I think that also going back to the game last night that we haven't mentioned yet that I think does get slightly overlooked, the bullpen was absolutely clean last night. 3 innings of clean baseball. No runs, no hits, no walks from Stratton, Schreiber, and MacArthur. That's, I think, big. And that's something that's been a minute, I think, since we've seen such a clean bullpen outing altogether. And so hopefully, again, that bodes well for the remainder of the series. Make no mistake about it. The Marlins lineup, we're not talking murderer's row here, so let's be real about that. But at the same time, I think it is important that, especially as you're kicking off such an important homestand here, that they started off not only with the offense starting to come alive a little bit, and hopefully that carries over, but the bullpen pitching a very clean game.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think what was the most frustrating about that stretch of bad baseball that the Royals are hopefully no longer in, but very well could be, it's just 1 win, is that it wasn't Like you'd almost, if you're going to do that, you'd almost everything unravel at once and then everything come together at once. The most frustrating part about it is you'd get a good starting pitching performance, hell, maybe even a good bullpen performance, and the offense would give you nothing. Or you finally score some runs and the bullpen falls apart. Or you finally do something and you get like a total throwaway start from me. Like it was always just like one thing. And so it would be better if you're going to be streaky for everything to go bad at once and everything to be good at once. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just like something is going to snake bite you every night. I just went back and looked. Speaking of the road record, last year, it was Miami who was not great on the road. I think there were about 8 or 9 games under 500. And then back in 2022, Tampa was 11 games under 500. That is by far the worst road record I can find of a team that was able to make the playoffs. Now, keep in mind that year for Tampa, they got into the playoffs with 86 wins. That's not going to happen this year. 86 will not be enough, I don't think. And so not only did they have to be 21 games over 500 to withstand that kind of road record, 21, they also got in with 86 wins. So, those are things that you can look at as outliers and say, yeah, that's not going to happen again. And so when you look at it this year with the Royals, and again, last year it was the Marlins that got in with a really, they were 5 games under 500. So not even quite that bad. And you go to this year and you look at it, of all the playoff teams right now that are, wild card teams or whatever. Man, I said the Cardinals were bad. When did the Cardinals get good, Tommy?
They've been hot. They've gotten hot, just as of the last few weeks or so.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They're 3 games above 500. My apologies, Bob Lutz. I missed that. My apologies, Grandpa Sammy watching the Cardinals upstairs with Willie Mays right now probably is what I picture. Anyway, they got good. So I misspoke earlier when I said that road trip was going to be easy. But you just, you're not going to find teams most of the time that are that bad on the road. 500 is sort of that benchmark, as you mentioned. But you also, if you're going to do that, you have to be out of this world good at home, which the Royals have been, right? The Royals are, I think right now are they're tied for the most home wins in the American League. Don't look now. Cleveland has the same amount in 5 fewer games. Cleveland is just playing out of their minds right now. And I guess it's going to continue, Tommy. I guess it's going to just be a thing. The only other team in baseball with more home wins is Philadelphia, who happens to have the best record in baseball. So the Royals are telling us, they can be that good at home. And that's great. But you still got to be better on the road than they've been if it's going to work. You still got to be better than the pace they're on the road. But it also tells me when you get these home series, you better win most of these games you're playing at home. Like the majority, because if they're not going to be a good road team, if they're not even going to be an average road team, and honestly, it amplifies how good you've got to be at home to be able to get there. And that can get you there. We know it can. But is this a team that we're going to look at the end of the season and you really think this is the best home team in baseball? They have been thus far, so maybe, but that's a big ask.
Well, and I think that's partially why those expectations for at least this series are where they are. And it's not,
sweep,
and
right?
Exactly. I was going to say, I don't even think it's, taking 2 out of 3, especially after winning last night. I think it's sweeping them, and especially knowing that you had Reagan's last night, you've got Lugo tonight, you've got Brady Singer tomorrow. That's got to play into it as well. I'm looking at ESPN Bet right now for the game tonight. And I don't know about you. I feel like this line is kind of all over the place a little bit, like the run line. I've got it at 9.5 right now, which that seems way off to me. I'm gonna bet the under big time on this game. You've got Lugo pitching, who doesn't give up runs, and even though the Marlins pitching staff in general is not great, it's not like the Royals offense is lighting anything on fire either. So to me, that sounds like almost an auto bet at the under. Under 9.5 tonight, big time, is kind of where I'm going on that. Unless, I don't know if the odds makers know something we don't.
Well, so Lugo had those 2 starts, and it was against Cleveland and the Yankees, by the way, in which he gave up 5 and 4 runs. Okay, so the worst start he's had this year is 5 runs. He's given up 4 a couple of times. He followed that up, by the way, on the road against the Dodgers and gave up 2. But let's just say it's 4. He gives up 4. I'm really confident right now that you're still going to get 6 more runs in the game than that.
I'm not at
so
all.
I'm with you. I think what I think it could be is baking in a Royals offense at home, which has been significantly better. I mean, you get a couple of base runners last night and you're looking at a totally, different lopsided outcome. But the reason I don't like 9.5 is, what if Lugo is normal Lugo and he comes in and it's 2 or fewer runs? Then is the Royals offense getting to 7? Right. So I'm with you on that. I like that under, and I'll probably join you on that for sure.
I also like the spread. I mean, the money line's not any kind of play tonight just because of the odds on it.
Well,
I mean,
you
they've got the
play
Royals.
it if you're playing the under. You could play it if you're playing the under with it.
You could, but I mean, I don't mind the under and the spread playing that together. I mean, that that parlay is almost 3 to 1. Pretty simple. I mean, I kind of like that juice if you're going to do anything.
Yeah, so you can get the money line in the under at like plus 170. You can get the run line, which means the Royals have to win by at least 2 runs, and the under 9.5 at plus 282. So that's where both of those stand. And honestly, if it's going to go under 9.5, it's probably, I mean, I don't think you'd get like a slugfest close game. Right. So I think you'd be relatively safe there.
And to your point, the only caveat is that the Royals, I think, are batting around 275 at home,
home
on
offense,
the season.
Yeah.
So offensively, I think they're banking on that coming alive. That being said, though, just the trend recently, even last night, with 3 solo home runs, that's great. At least they scored some runs, but it wasn't like it was this juggernaut of a game offensively against, conceivably a worse pitcher for the Marlins last night than who they're going to be facing tonight.
Yeah, it's been one of the stranger things I've seen for the offense to be that much better at the pitcher's ballpark, right? Like that's what's been so. And I was watching the games this weekend, but I mixed it up. I watched both, but on that particular game, I was watching the Rangers broadcast when they were playing the Rangers. And they were like, they were talking about that. And former players are just like, it's the strangest thing. Like, to be better offensively in that stadium versus on the road is pretty wild to imagine. But that's the way it's been. And they get Lugo on the mound tonight. We'll talk more about that specific matchup as we make our way through the show today. I'm with you on that bet. I'm going to make that during the break. I just got to decide whether I want to do the run line or the money line on it, but I like it. So we'll look into that. We'll get more into other things. How about Dreiling and those Tennessee Vols? The Kansan gets it done. The first Kansan to win a most outstanding player since the Shockers won a College World Series. Think about that. That's pretty wild. But that happened last night. So good for him. Good for the Vols. Maybe you're a A&M fan. Probably not around these parts. We can get into that. Other things to touch on around the sports world as well. We'll do it as we make our way through Sports Daily on a Tuesday. Albracht and Castor, don't go away.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Morning to KFH. The staff enjoys a great cup of coffee from Prairie Fire Coffee. Love having their support here on the program. Always a good time. Congratulations to Hayes native Dylan Dreiling and the Tennessee Volunteers for their College World Series win. Tommy, a cool comment from a viewer there about a little history with Dylan Dreiling's dad.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Being able to claim that Rick, great viewer of ours, says he was a horrible baseball player, but he played Little League in Hayes against Dylan Dreiling's dad. Pretty cool. Just being able to have that local connection, watching the College World Series, that's pretty special, I think.
It is. I love to see that. I didn't really have a rooting interest in it other than Dreiling. His story is wild. Just an unbelievable talent from such a young age. He was committed to Tennessee when I was still very involved in, Catch It Kansas and all the high school stuff. I think, don't quote me on this, I think he committed before he even got to high school to Tennessee. He was that kind of player and then had a major injury and battled through it. And, he was an all-world pitcher and then has become this all-world hitter who's very likely going to be a nice draft asset. So really cool to see that for him in that College World Series. The college baseball season is done. And, then we just wait and see if the Shockers can get back to that point. A quick news here. So you get to get, this is TBT news that has just come down. They're going to release their bracket tomorrow, which should be fun. But a little, I don't know if you've been following the roster news for K-State, KU, and Wichita State. KU's roster looks outstanding. K-State has some exciting additions. Wichita State's Aftershocks team just announcing in the last minute they are bringing in Darrell Willis and Tariq Gilbert, who are going to play this year. So that's pretty cool. I bet you Gilbert's a pretty good TBT player. You talk about the things that make that tournament click. He will be a nice addition at point guard for the Aftershocks as they try to continue to be one of the better teams in this tournament and finally get it done this year. We love this tournament. These rosters are really good. All you need is K-State, KU, and Wichita State to stay relevant, and Charles Koch Arena is going to be rocking in that tournament, which begins next month, and so that's out there. But I love it. Have you been watching some of the additions to these rosters?
Yeah, I've kept an eye on it a little bit. The interesting thing about any roster when you're talking about an alumni team is trying to balance the excitement of the big names and the legends and that sort of thing with, can they still play? Can they still be an impact player? Sure. And I think these teams do a pretty good job of being able to determine that. But then also, like, there are opportunities for guys that maybe are bigger names that maybe they're not able to make as big of an impact actually on the court, serve in other roles. Like I've seen assistant coaches and don't the teams have a general manager? Like they've all got like some kind of like, different role that doesn't involve on the court playing, which is nice because then these guys can still be involved. They still get the fan support. They're a big name involved with the team, but they don't necessarily have to play, which is nice.
Yeah, look, look, you're just trying to build buzz too. Like the reason, there's two reasons it's been such a hit for the Aftershocks. A, they are good now and they're in the mix all the time. But Fran Camp's there. You just mentioned Willis. You're going to have, you mentioned a guy like Garrett Stutz, who's an assistant coach. That's what you were just talking about there. But McDuffie is back. Kelly, Wade, I'm seeing on the roster. So that's certainly great news. Like those are players that people will get behind. Absolutely. And then you also have the names that maybe don't play as much, like Stutz and those guys. But there are players, I think, that do that too, and make it a fun part of it. But it is like there is still buzz when you get you get those players that people love to see. Jada for K-State is playing. I'm just pulling up their roster. Pullen's on the roster. DeJuan Gordon's on the roster. Cam Stokes is on the roster that I'm seeing. Now, I think this is an updated roster, so I think that's who, and don't we know, correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy, don't we know that all three of those teams are going to be back in Wichita? I believe that was announced too, that all three of them are going to be back here. I'm just looking at Mass Street here just to give you a couple of the names. Dedrick Lawson. Oh, Frank Mason. That was the one I was going to tell you. Did you see Frank Mason?
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's cool. I mean, he's definitely a major impact, for this team. I would imagine that, don't you think he'll just kind of be slotted right in the starting lineup, right? Like he's that talented, probably still.
Thomas Robinson was as good as we thought he'd be. Mm-hmm. How about this one? Silvio De Sosa. Did you see that?
Making his return. I love it.
Making his return in Wichita, Kansas. It'll be fun.
It's also really cool. And just real quick, I like to also look at the players that maybe didn't play at their respective schools that end up on the roster that fans get to know. And then they become sort of like, kind of like the players by proxy, right? Like, wasn't it the McGee kid from Iowa State last year that had it was incredible for the Aftershocks, and it was like he was an honorary Shocker all of a sudden. That part's really cool.
It is. I love it so much. What an interesting thing to have taken off the way it has. But again, it's just like this AUX softball tournament that's been happening. All of it, honestly, on a side note, makes me so anxious for the NCAA tournament to return. I cannot wait for that because Wichita shows out so well for this stuff. All right, we'll come back. Hour number 2, we'll get more into the Royals. We'll bounce around the rest of the sports world as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll also get you an opportunity to win Damn Jam tickets in hour number 2. Stick around. Sports Daily coming right back.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albracht and Tommy Castor.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH. Albracht and Castor, hour number 2. IHOP hotline wide open for you. Try the classic breakfast sampler. 2 strips of hickory smoked bacon, 2 pork sausage links, 2 pieces of thick cut ham, 2 eggs, hash browns, 2 buttermilk pancakes. At IHOP, you can get your hands on that right now. That special running. We appreciate their support and bringing you that hotline. You can also leave your comments on our video stream, which has been pretty active, mostly because we got off to a wild start on this program today. By the way, on the video stream, if you missed that just incredible story, you can go back and watch the video stream pretty easily. Go back and rewatch those things and listen to why Jad and Tommy have a very strange understanding of the things that go on in a men's restroom.
I'm just laughing at it being referred to as a stream.
Yes. It is a video stream in every sense of the word there. But you can check it out. Leave us your comments there. We always appreciate those. Let's get you set up for our Hour 2 giveaway, too. So excited this week to be able to give out some Damn Jam tickets. Here's how you can win. It's one of the hottest festivals this summer. It's in Goddard. It's the Damn Jam, July 19th and 20th. You'll be able to see Brantley Gilbert, the Stone Temple Pilots, Dustin Lynch, Jody Messina, many more. How fun would it be? Well, you can find out. We're giving away pairs of 2-day general admission tickets, and all you have to do to win is text the keyword PARTY, P-A-R-T-Y, to the number 20357, and you could be on your way to an epic festival experience. Winners will be announced this Friday at 6 o'clock. Message and data rates apply. Again, that's the keyword PARTY to 20357. Good luck, everybody. You can enter once every 24 hours. So get your opportunity to win right now. That contest is open here in the second hour. We'll get more into the Royals as we make our way through this hour. Tommy put me on a bet that I'm all for. So we'll see if we can win some money with the Royals under 9.5. And the Royals, I decided to go with the spread with you, Tommy. We'll see. But I went spread and under.
That's the
as
move.
Well,
that's the move. I'm telling you.
You can catch it right now at about plus 280, right? At your own discretion there. We both are kind of on that one a little bit tonight. Again, don't bet the farm on anything we say, but that's where we're looking at with the Royals. All right. A story that is interesting to me. We know JJ Redick's there in LA now. We wonder why. Maybe you wonder. Maybe it's very obvious why he's in LA right now. You've got the Bronny James situation sort of looming at the moment in LA. And all of a sudden, now we see a report that the Lakers are prepared to offer LeBron James a 3-year, $160 million max contract. Now, apparently in the NBA, in which contracts get very confusing to me, you can only offer players that are 38 years and older 3-year contracts. So that would be about $53.5 million a year, just shy of that they would offer LeBron James for 3 years. He has, I think, a deadline of this week to opt out of his current deal and basically become a free agent. This is all getting a little bit interesting to me, and I sort of see this scenario here on June 25th of 2024, and you can call me crazy if you want. I would start with this. I have no issue with bringing in the coach that LeBron James would keep LeBron James in LA. He's still playing at an insanely high level. Also have no issue with offering him a max deal for 3 years. I think if he chose to play for 3 more years, Tommy, the chances that he would still be one of the best players in the league in 3 years are, I would call it better than 50-50. How about that? I think in the short term, he's still got it. And in 3 years, the way he takes care of himself, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Here's where this gets really interesting, though. So if let's say they get Bronny, which I think is a decent possibility, then there's Bryce James. And so I think we've all been thinking about this with LeBron wanting to play with Bronny. Bryce James, I believe, is a senior this coming season. 1 year of college. So he's got senior season of high school, 1 year of college. What would happen in that 3rd year of a 3-year deal potentially? Could you see LeBron and both of his sons on one roster? Call me crazy if you want, but I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. Some people have called Bryce James a better prospect than his brother. I don't think he's quite where his brother was yet, but he's still a really high-level prospect, right? He's still a top 150 that probably will get higher in his senior year as a guard with some size. I'm going to guess he grows as a prospect this year by quite a bit, most likely. And then you'd have this possibility. Boy, I think it's out there. I think it could happen. I think you could see LeBron try and stretch this out, not just to play with one son, but to play with 2 sons. I don't think that's ever happened in sports where a dad has been able to play with 2 different kids. And I could see a path to all this coming together. And in so signing a 3-year max deal and still being a good player for a few years.
Call me crazy, but I really couldn't care less about whether or not LeBron wants to play with one or both of his sons.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason for that is that it's not that LeBron James is not an incredible basketball player. He clearly is. We all know that. I just don't think that in the context of the Lakers, it really matters that much. I really don't, because I'm more concerned about the direction that the Lakers go with guys like Anthony Davis or some of their younger stars like Austin Reeves or Hachimura or some of these other guys that have become, really well liked by the fan base, by the front office. I think in a lot of cases, especially Austin Reeves, the Lakers view him as a building block and a foundational piece to make this team significantly better in the long run. So I don't really care about what LeBron wants to do with his kids. Like, that's nice. And sure, like, would it be fun for him to be on the same roster with Bronny and Bryce? Sure. That's great. Fantastic. But like, if I'm JJ Redick, even though I have a relationship with LeBron, That's not my top priority. I don't really care about that necessarily.
No,
if I'm Rob
I don't think they
Pelinka,
have to.
if I'm the GM, I really don't care about that. Like, if it happens, it happens. Cool, that's great. But I'm not going to try to like make that happen one way or the other. I have bigger fish to fry because I've got to set this franchise up for long-term success.
Don't misunderstand. I don't think the Lakers are terribly concerned. They might be concerned with Bronny in the short term. I actually think Bronny is a pretty intriguing prospect in what's perceived as a weaker basketball class. I'm not going to speak to whether it's a weak back because I don't know. But I know it's perceived that way by a lot of people. And so, a reach on Bronny James, who I think has a lot of upside and appeal after, an injury season is fine. But I think, last year was the first year Anthony Davis was healthy since like, I mean, it was the first year he's played 70 games at least since 2017. So the reality and what's important to me is it's not about LeBron's sons. It's about whether or not you can keep LeBron James for 3 more years. If LeBron James is motivated to play at a high level for 3 more years, every team in the NBA would want him because he's still a really good player. You know what I mean? Now, would they want him on a max deal? I mean, you tell me who's on a max deal. I don't know. I mean, his numbers this past season, Tommy, were incredible. Like, he's still a really great basketball player. So if you're, if I'm the Lakers and now all of a sudden you put that out there and you have, I don't care what the reason is. And I do think the reason would be his sons, but it doesn't matter to me what the reason is. The important thing is, hey, LeBron James might want to play 3 more years.
Well, one of the things
LeBron James can give you 3 more years of high-level basketball.
Sure,
I would say yes. He scored almost 26 points a game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, are you kidding me? He was awesome last year.
Are they more likely to win a championship if LeBron is on the team? Yeah, probably. But do they have to have him on the team to win a championship? I'm not sure that that's the case anymore with LeBron and his career. It's not discounting him or taking anything away from that. But here's the other thing, too. You have to also look at it through the lens of what the priorities are for the Lakers. And Pelinka said it in the introductory press conference for JJ Redick yesterday that, and it's kind of that front office speak that you hear a lot of executives say. They want to build for the long-term future, but they want to win championships right away, right? Okay, so it's kind of like 2 things at once. That being said, though, who on that roster is the most likely player to help you win a championship right away and be a part of the future to build? That's Anthony Davis. That's not LeBron James.
I don't know that I agree.
LeBron James checks one of those boxes. He checks the help you win championships right away. He doesn't help you in planning for the long term.
What he does if he's going to play 3 more years, 3 years is the long term. You know what I mean? That's what's become interesting about this. I have thought about LeBron as like, maybe he'll give you 1 more year. If LeBron is motivated to play 3 more years, right? So like he's like, I'm going to play 3 more years. If that's really what's in his head right now, and maybe he doesn't accept, he has to accept this deal. Maybe he's like, no, let's take this 1 year at a time here, because I don't know. That's a different story. But if he was to sign a 3-year contract and you have some indication that, like, listen, guys, I would like to play 3 more years. And who cares what the reason is? 3 more years of LeBron James gives you a better chance to win than anything else the Lakers could do over 3 years, right? Like, there's nothing else they're going to do besides have LeBron James that's going to give him a better chance to win. I love Anthony Davis. I hope Anthony Davis is healthy, but that's a risky proposition. I think you can still add pieces and drive. This was a playoff team a year ago, right? It's not like they're terrible. You have one of the best players in the world. Yeah, he's 39, but he's still one of the best players in the world. In fact, you have 2 of the best players in the world. If Anthony Davis is on the floor, I think you can build around.
They didn't have any issue having Anthony Davis off the floor this past season. I mean, he played 71
games? This was the first time
games?
in a while. Yep, and they made the playoffs. And maybe a coaching change helps there too. I don't, I think it's unfair to just assume JJ Redick's a token coach that will fail. I mean, I think he deserves a chance, just like a lot of great young basketball minds. Young coaches like JJ Redick is not the first young former player that's getting an opportunity to coach in their sport. It's happening a lot across sports. And in a lot of cases, it's working in sports. Celtics, right? Look at their head coach. Young guy. Now, he had some coaching experience, but not head coaching experience. They just won a title. And you can make a case that there was, that difference in coaches was what put them over the edge this year. Also some shrewd moves, but those weren't moves that the Lakers couldn't make, right? Bringing in the kind of players that Boston brought in midseason, that the Lakers could in theory make those types of moves that could be the right fit. I think, LeBron catches a reputation that he's too involved in those things. I don't know if he's involved in roster decisions or things like that. I honestly, I don't even have a lean on that. I think he has input into who the coach is, but I don't think LeBron's making roster decisions. I don't. So I think that they can be there. And I don't think they're going to have any better chance over the next 3 years. If you were to tell me LeBron James will play for the Lakers for 3 years, I would tell you that I don't think there's anything else they can do over that 3-year stretch that gives them a better chance to win for 3 years than to have him playing. I think he's still that good. And I would just say, based on him, the way he has always taken care of his body and all of these things, how, fitness has always been a part of what he does. I would say better than 50-50 that he can just still be awesome for 3 more years. I'd say there's a much better chance he can be awesome for 3 more years than Anthony Davis, even though he's almost 10 years older, just based on what we've seen over time, right? And so I like it. I think if the Redick thing and whatever it is, if they can get him for 3 more years, the Lakers will end up winning in all this. Would he play 3 more years if Dan Hurley was there? Who knows? But with JJ Redick, maybe he would. And then if that's the case, then you really justify the coaching decision by the Lakers, because I think it would have been worth it at that point.
The absolute biggest advantage that the Lakers have currently is that they're not in the same conference as Boston. That's the biggest advantage they've got, because if they were in the Eastern Conference,
but the West
then you
is
would
harder
want
than the East.
I think there's more parity in the West. I think there are more
deeper
good teams in the West, but Boston is building a dynasty. And I think that you end up, if you're in that conference, it's going to be tough, to break through, in that regard in the playoffs, where I do think that the Lakers, even if they do little incremental changes, here and there. And I know that later this week, I think, is when the Lakers can begin, they could trade a couple of, picks, or they can do some different things. They've got more flexibility as the week goes on. They can do all of that. And then they probably incrementally improve in the West, and that would maybe be enough to put them over the edge. You'd have to do a whole lot if you wanted to become the best team in the Eastern Conference to overtake the Celtics. That would require, I think, quite a bit of roster reconstruction to make that sort of thing happen. So that is an advantage, I think, for them overall, because it's a much more open Western Conference with a lot more parity in there. So I do think that plays to the Lakers' advantage.
I think the Western Conference is much better than the Eastern Conference. I actually think that kind of hurts. Now, yes, the Celtics are the top dog right now, and they may be there. But if you're talking about playoff positioning, like the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Mavericks, all had as good or better records than the second seed in the East right now, which was the Knicks. So you tell me, if you're the Lakers, would you be more fearful of the Knicks or Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, Clippers, Mavs, even the Suns? Honestly, those are all the teams that were ahead of the Lakers. The Lakers were the 7 seed, winning 57% of their games. They could have been up to the 5 or 4, competing with a team like the Cavs at the 4 seed. No offense to the Cavs. I just think the Western Conference is much, much deeper. But it doesn't, if your goal is a title, it doesn't really matter.
That's your goal,
because you're going to have to go through Boston anyway.
Yeah, it's not to make the playoffs. It's not to be a 7 seed or a 4 seed or a 2 seed.
You're going to have to beat Boston whether you're in the East or West Conference. Right? Yeah, it's just what positions you better, and it's probably irrelevant.
I mean, I think that it's just not realistic, probably naive to think that the Lakers are not prioritizing what the long-term plan is with LeBron, not only this next year, but long-term, like the next 2 or 3 years. They don't bring in JJ Redick without the indication that that is the number one top priority. I don't think that's the right priority. That's not what I would prioritize.
Yeah, I don't know if it is.
That's honestly not what I would prioritize. It's not that it's not that I don't think that he needs to be on that roster. I'm not making that my number one priority. That might be 2 or 3. Yeah. That's not number one. So I'd be naive to think that that's not the direction that they're going. Like, they absolutely are prioritizing him.
I don't think there's any reason the Lakers shouldn't be trying to win right now, I guess is my point. And there is not anything that they will do in reality to help them win right now more than having LeBron James on the floor. There's not. He is still that dude. And so if you still prioritize winning right now, which I think they should, because I think they have Anthony Davis, I think they're probably one. I think they honestly even have a lot of the role players in place that are good. It's almost like they need that one mid-level big-time contributor, and they have tried and tried and tried to find it, and they can't do it. But, let's say Kirilenko and Drew Holiday or join the Lakers midseason. I think that's a team that can compete. So I think if you can just find those kinds of players, which are out there, and I don't know enough about the salary caps and all that to know how easy or difficult that is, but I know Boston has 2 max players in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and they've done it. So can the Lakers do it? We'll see. Is JJ Redick a great coach? I think that has a chance to make a big difference, right? Like I think that has a chance.
No way to know that. And I will say that watching his introductory press conference overall, I know there were a couple of clips that have been pulled out and shared on social media. He drops the F-bomb at one point, in the press conference, whatever. Overall, though, he sounded like a coach. He sounded like a head coach. We'll see when he's on the sideline if he can actually be a head coach. We'll find that out as the season progresses. But at least in the press conference, he sounded like a head coach. That ultimately that doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I do think that there were, because I had those questions like, what's this guy going to sound like? Like, is this going to make a fool out of himself? And he didn't. I don't think.
I don't think you can play the position he played for, the coach he played for, at the college he played for, and not be a really smart basketball mind. I don't think it's possible to have the success he had at the place he had it and not be a really, really, really smart basketball player. So we'll see. Is it any more or less outrageous than Steve Nash being a coach? I don't think it is, right? So I don't care. Like, whatever. Try it. See if it works. I just think that for the Lakers, their best opportunity to win is to have LeBron James on the floor. All right. So if you're watching our video stream right now, which we would invite you to do, you might see me glance at, there's some kind of critter buzzing around here, Tommy, and I don't know what it is yet. It's can you see that on my stream? Do you see this large
I don't.
creature? I don't know what it is.
Is it does it have a stinger on it?
It's what I'm trying to get a grasp of. It's literally buzzing me. It could be a horsefly, or it could be something that might sting me on the air. So you never know what you're going to get on the video stream. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can also leave us your comments there. What do you think? LeBron for 3 years or not LeBron for 3 years if you're the Lakers? I think it's a no-brainer if you can get it. I think it's LeBron. All right, let's reset the contest for this hour. One of the hottest festivals of the summer is the Damn Jam, July 19th and 20th in Goddard. All kinds of great fun. You can win a pair of tickets, general admission for both days. All you got to do is text the keyword party, PARTY, to the number 20357. Message and data rates apply. That's party to 20357. One entry every 24 hours. Good luck, everybody. We'll give those tickets away on Friday about 6 o'clock. We'll come back. Let's look at this matchup for the Royals tonight. What do we think? Good Lugo, Royals bats. Maybe they're waking up a little bit. We'll get into all of it when we return on Sports Daily.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Jad asked me if I liked opera and classical music during the break. Wouldn't tell me why. I'd be Fly to the Bumblebee, Jad. And I cannot get a good look at this critter And
is it yellow and black stripes? Is it a bumblebee?
No, it's not a bumblebee. I think it's just like a massive horsefly, which is fine. It makes a loud buzz, and I can't get a good look at it. So I just don't want something to sting me while I'm on the air. I don't think it will. I think it's fly. But I appreciate that, Chad. Fly to the bumblebee. Scale of 1 to 10. How impressed are you that I knew that? If you would have had to guess, Tommy, that I would have known the name of this, would you have thought that was a possibility?
I mean, considering how I've learned a lot about you on this show, and just how
considering that I am
uncivilized you are,
of the class of civilization that thinks kicking someone.
I would have never thought that you would have been
drinking Keystone Light in the hot tub with strangers from another country I met.
Never thought that you would know Fly to the Bumblebee.
Yeah, see, we're we cover a lot of ground here. Like a lot of things. All right. Let's talk about the Royals tonight. I do want to get this in real quick. This is Sports Daily, but it's a big story developing today in the news world that affects a lot of people around here. It sounds like Boeing has figured out a way to buy Spirit Aerosystems. Now they're going to do it by stock.
Wow.
So that's happening. Now, I am not going to give you a lot of insight on this because I need to see a few things, but that's happening right now. That story is developing and breaking this morning. So just an FYI, that I know that affects a lot of people. Largest, private employer in the state of Kansas, Spirit Aerosystems, right here, of course, in Wichita. Boeing, which they've made planes for a lot of time. I know that, the history, I'm a little ignorant to the history because I wasn't here, but I know Boeing owned that for a while. So, there have been, you got to pay attention to those things. So I would just invite you, 12 News will keep you apprised of that. The next on-air opportunity will be around noon. I think we've got our pal Sean Logging on that story today, as he's followed that for a long, long time. So just keep an eye on that today. If that is something that affects your life, that's happening. That has been happening this morning. We will talk about the Royals, though, Tommy, something we're far more familiar with. They get wins. They get the win last night that they needed to get. We have both said, and I fully believe, this needs to be a sweep. If they are going to be not good on the road, they have to be outstanding at home. So they need to win most of these games on this homestand. That's just the way it goes. The bullpen, which had been shaky, was essentially flawless last night. 3 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts in those innings. Stratton, Schreiber, MacArthur. I think that's the path that the Royals would like to take, is a starter giving them 6 innings and then going to those 3. So they get everything they wanted last night. They get a little power. Massey comes back, gets you a hit. Witt had a hit in the game. Vinny had a hit in the game. Salvi had a hit in the game. Your leadoff hitter still can't get a hit in the game. Whatever. But, we look at these things, and Massey's back. They're back. They're healthy. Like, all of it's lining up for, a really good stretch of 10 games or so for the Royals. They have to get it done.
I really like the way that the rotation is shaping up as we get into this stretch, because you start off this Marlins series with Reagans and Lugo. So you start off the homestand in the series with your 1 and 2. And so that's awesome. And the way that they've got that able to, come to play. But then you also
still get them in
the Cleveland series. You get both of them to, the last 2 games of that 4-game set in the homestand. So that timed out pretty much as perfectly as it possibly could for the Royals. The only pitcher that it looks like will get a game against the Marlins, but not against the Guardians, will be Brady Singer in tomorrow's game. And
I'm okay with that.
That's fine with me. I'm all right with that, because I think even right now, the upside of Michael Wacha, because of what he did coming off of the IL in his start over the weekend, even though the Royals didn't win the game, he looked really good. I like that in the opening game against Cleveland. And then Alec Marsh is as streaky as they come. But we know really, like, the last time that it was a really high pressure game for him was that game against the Yankees a couple of weeks ago, when he pitched probably his best game of the season. This will be another high pressure game for him. And so hopefully, he's able to string a couple of starts together. He had a pretty decent one over the weekend. Again, the Royals didn't win, but he had a pretty decent start over the weekend. And so if he can back that up and continue that against Cleveland, I do like the way overall that the rotation is shaping up. And then if you can get clean outings from the bullpen, that's so much that's going to be so important for Kansas City. And knowing the fact that, by the way, last night, it wasn't like they used up a lot of bullpen energy. I think that's important too, kicking off this series in this homestand.
Well, what you'd like to see is Seth Lugo give you 8 innings, and you're just dominant in the game so that you can have like a very low leverage finish to the game. That's what you'd like to see.
It's going to be important to have that cushion as they get, through this week and into the weekend.
Well, yeah, because they don't have days off, right, up into the Cleveland series. So, you've got to get into it, but you've also got to be able to you'd like to get into that series as rested as you can be, because they haven't had a day off since before the Oakland series. So that would have been last Monday, I think. Right? Wasn't that the break? It was the 17th.
Yeah.
So then you don't get another one until after the Cleveland series. So you've got to go now 6 more days straight with no break. It would be nice on a night like tonight with Lugo that you don't have to use the bullpen, or at least the bullpen arms you might anticipate needing against Cleveland at all. Can Lugo give you 7 innings? Can Lugo give you 8 innings? And then you just have to kind of mop it up at the end of the game. That's both on Lugo and on the offense. I think you feel more comfortable with Lugo's part of that than you do the offense's part of that at this point. But it was nice to see. And again, it's very hard to explain the power surge coming at Kauffman Stadium, because a little juice would help the Royals go a long way. On the road, they couldn't get anybody in. They were not hitting well with runners in scoring position. Now, yesterday, one game example, for the most part, they didn't really get anybody on base, but they had the power to get them in. So I think it's coming. I did get the sort of vibe last night that they're about to heat up a little bit, which is what we want to see. But again, anything outside of a sweep against Florida is it's going to feel like a wasted opportunity. It really is. And so, you don't think it's coming tonight against the Lugo a letdown, but you still got to get this one if you're going to get a sweep.
Yeah, you know how in hockey, and we talked, of course, Stanley Cup earlier in the show. In hockey, from time to time, you've got like those entire line changes, right? Like when it seems like all the guys are coming off the ice and brand new ones are coming in. It almost feels that way to an extent with the Royals, because you've got Renfroe and Massey back at the same time that Adam Frazier goes to the IL and Nelson Velasquez gets sent down. I'm glad that, not that I wanted to see that happen and, either one of those guys not be with the team moving forward. But at the same time, I think you feel better. It's an upgrade, right? When you get Michael Massey back and he's going to be in the starting lineup, and Hunter Renfroe, is at least more productive than he was at the beginning of the year. So I think that's an advantage. Also, we've been wondering, okay, how long is Renfroe going to be out? What is it going to look like with Massey when he returns? You're dealing with kind of a back injury, that sort of thing. Both of the guys, they looked healthy in their returns, for the Royals. And so it is, I think, overall an upgrade in the starting lineup as you're moving forward. So really good timing on both of those guys returning when they did.
How cautiously optimistic are you when you see Hunter Renfroe come back and immediately hit a home run? That's the thing.
I don't know. If you go back and you
coming
watch
along before the injury,
I get it, and I want to give him credit where credit is due. But if you go back and you watch that replay, that was a bad pitch. Like that was a meatball right down the middle. That had he not hit a home run, I would have been concerned. Let's pump the brakes slightly on Hunter Renfroe. It's not solving the Royals' outfield problem. Like they still need to be aggressive in acquiring some kind of outfield bat. Because even including Renfroe, I mentioned this stat yesterday, overall, the outfielders for the Royals offensively have an OPS that's next to last in Major League Baseball, only ahead of the lowly White Sox. So that's even including Hunter Renfroe in all of that. So that's, it's great that he was able to get that home run last night. They still need to try to find bigger and better reinforcements if they want to really, I think, seriously contend.
I think you may be underplaying Renfroe's potential importance just a little bit. Hunter Renfroe on May 11th was batting $140. By June 10th, so basically in a month, he's raised his average 60 points before he got hurt. 60 points.
That's great. I'm glad that he did.
Up until the game he got hurt, he had at least one hit in 9 straight games. I do think that we can consider the possibility that Hunter Renfrow ends up being what the Royals brought him in to be. Hunter Renfrow, if he just does what they think he was going to do, could be a pretty useful thing for the Royals to have. And like far above replacement value of what else they have been running out there. I do think seeing him come back from the injury and to some degree, because he didn't get, his first 2 games, off the IL, he was hitless. But to come back and now to have a home run, if he can get his average, all of a sudden, if we're looking at this and Hunter Renfro's batting .230, guess what will have happened? He will have been basically on fire for another month to get his average. That's how bad it was. And that's what this team desperately needs right now. So by the end of this season, is Hunter Renfroe going to be like a 260, 270 hitter? No, probably not. But when you think about how bad it was, like if he can just get it up to 240, that's going to mean he was pretty dang good the rest of the way, I think. And so that could be a big thing for the Royals. What do you need out of Hunter Renfroe? You just need a little pop at the bottom. Like he's not going to all of a sudden be your cleanup hitter, but he maybe could be if you had to have him in a game or two, because that's kind of in his skill set, at least historically. I do think there is a world where he is still a very important part of what the Royals do the rest of this season. If he continues the momentum he's had for the last month, it's going to go a long way for this offense. Now, easier said than done, right? Like he was also really, 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 really bad for a part of this season. That's also in the realm of possibility. But I do think what he did over the month before he got hurt, I don't want to downplay it, because it was a significant reason why they were playing so well over that stretch of time.
Yeah, I think that with Renfroe, he's still going to need, and you mentioned like the next month or so raising his average. I think he's going to need a longer period of time than that. It might take 2 months. It might take the rest of the season. He's still batting under the Mendoza line. He's got an average under 200 as of this second. And he's going to have
still 60 points higher than it was a month ago.
Right. And that's great. And yeah, it's a lot better than what it was. I mean, it was as miserable as it could possibly be for Hunter Renfroe when the rest of the team, or, by and large, most of the team, they were all hitting in some way, shape, or form. Renfroe was not. He's going to have an incredibly productive second half of the season if he wants to avoid his worst season by OPS standards that he's ever had in Major League Baseball. And not just by a slight margin, by a large margin. He's over 120 points below his average OPS in his career. So, I mean, that kind of puts it into context how terrible of an overall season Hunter Renfroe has had. It's great that, even before the injury, and then he had a home run last night, that he was trending upwards. But he had dug himself a pretty deep hole. It's going to take the rest of the season for him to climb out of.
So toss out the 2020 year, right? The COVID year, the shortened season. Hunter Renfroe had 25 home runs in every season back to 2017. He only had 20 last year. But he had 25 or more home runs in every season since 2017 and in 20 last year. I mean, you're talking about 6 seasons above 25, I think it is. And so, but in none of those seasons, Tommy, was he a particularly great, he didn't hit for much average, but he slugged, right? And that's what raises that OPS up. And he slugged in those seasons. And so, like, if you believe in the law of averages in baseball, and I think most baseball fans generally do, for as bad as it was to start the year, if you're going to get to the law of averages, that means he's going to play a lot better than his average for a period of, if he's going to get there, because it started so poorly. And so I think that, look, if you're talking about plugging in a hitter that's got 25 home run power, that's got a 770 OPS over his career, that's essentially what the Royals would love to go find on the trade market.
100%.
I mean, almost that exact same thing.
And I don't want this to turn into, just a bash Hunter Renfroe session, because he has been better. And, especially before that injury, he was trending up overall in this season. But I do think that it is fair to point out that overall, over the last, 4 seasons, and plus, maybe even more than that, he's progressively gotten worse, from an OPS standard, right? Like even going back to the 2021 season, that OPS has dropped every single year. Now it's fallen off a cliff as of right now from last year to this year. But even last year, it's not like it was incredible with the two teams that he played for. His OPS was under his average for his career. It was much less, over 100 points less than it was in 2021. So, I think that's to be, I think you have to build that in and bake that in a little bit too with all of it, that it may just very well be that he's declining as a player. His skill set has declined over the last 4 years.
Certainly.
That's okay. I mean, as long as we know what it is, and it's not like, oh, he just, we can't explain it. We don't know where it's coming from. I think knowing that the last 4 years has been somewhat of a steady decline overall for Hunter Renfroe, you still get flashes of things from time to time. To me, that even lends more credibility to the fact that the Royals need to go and try to find some kind of reinforcement.
Well, look, so are we going to get back to, the kind of hitter he was in Boston when he was just out of this world, 31 home runs he had that year, almost 100 RBI, OPS 8. No, I don't think we are. He's 32 years old, though. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him to, project out as the type of player who could give you the production of a 250 hitter that hits 25 home runs a year, that has an OPS a little above, 730. Like that is, I mean, it's better than Vinny Pasquantino is going to give you, probably. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that you're going to get more than that out of Vinny. So we have to think of it as, like, what can he be the rest of the way? It's not going to be there at the end of the season. But if it just gets to the pace that got to those, that's going to do this offense a whole lot of good. A whole lot of good. And they need that in the middle of their lineup desperately. You're talking about potentially getting a 5 or 6 hole hitter if he's doing that, versus what else they need, which is probably trying to find somebody to be your 8 hole hitter, right? Like I think he very much will, if the Royals do this thing, let me put it this way. If they do this thing and become a playoff team, I think he's going to be a big part of that happening, because I think his upside is as high as his floor has been this year. His floor could not be any lower to the start he got off to. So if he can just return back to close to what he has been over most of his career, that slots into the middle of your lineup, and it's what the Royals desperately need. They're just not getting that out of anybody but Salvi and Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe Massey. Maybe Massey's there too. I'd like to see him up higher in the lineup, but I just think if they're going to be good, Hunter Renfroe is going to be a big part of it. And anything they go add is in addition to him, not to replace him.
I think that is to be expected, because that's why the Royals brought him in. They brought him in to be a key contributor to potentially a playoff run. That's why they signed him when they did. I know that you are not a believer overall in Vinny Pasquantino. And I think, to be fair, there's not a large enough sample size. The guy still has not played a full season of Major League Baseball yet. But in the parts of 3 seasons that he's played
he's 26.
In the parts of 3 seasons he's played in, his career OPS is currently higher than Hunter Renfroe's.
No, I know.
In a much
but
smaller
I'm talking
sample
about
size.
In reality, what are we going to get? I hate that. I don't ever want you or anybody else to think I don't like Vinny. I really do like Vinny Pasquantino.
You've said multiple times you would trade him away immediately.
I would trade him if the opportunity was there to get Vlad Jr. or Pete Alonso. I said yes, I would trade him in a second. Absolutely, I would. That's more about projecting the future. I don't know where he fits into things. I know. Here's what I do know: your first baseman, that's given you the type of numbers that he's giving you. You can find that at first base, and they're going to need a place for Salvador Perez to play, and it's going to be first base and DH. What I don't want to do, and what I think has been done with Vinny Pasquantino, because I think there has been nothing on the roster for a long time, is to have this expectation that he's going to be a perennial all-star for Kansas City. He will probably be about a league average first baseman, which is okay. right? But you need a place for Salvador Perez to play. That's what I'm saying. Like if the Royals got hot and all of a sudden had an opportunity to bring in like an all-world first baseman because somebody needs a salary dump and it cost you Vinny Pasquantino, I would be willing to do that because I would also be willing to let Salvador Perez play most of his baseball at first base starting as early as next year. That's why I would trade Vinny Pasquantino. It would have to be the right opportunity, and it would be projecting out the future and what that looks like. I like Vinny Pasquantino. I like that he gets on base a lot. He is not, to me, screaming middle of the order, crazy productive power bat. I just don't think that's what he is.
I don't have an issue with the way that the Royals have constructed the position dilemma when it comes to Pasquantino and Perez and then Freddie Fermin at catcher. Like, they've kind of just rotated around it. You know, Salvi's going to DH sometimes. He's going to play first base sometimes. He's going to play catcher sometimes. Like, it's not the end of the world to me one way or the other. And I think that it's a formula that they can continue to replicate.
Yeah, best case scenario, Vinny Pasquantino is awesome. And I hope that happens because I really like him, the player, and the personality and everything about him. I'm just trying to be realistic to what makes this team the best team it can be. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're right up against it. More Sports Daily right after this.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
All right, this portion of the program brought to you by Crestview Country Club. We appreciate Crestview's support of Sports Daily. Give them a call and let them know we sent you. You can find out about all their different memberships. They've got everything covered for you. If you just want the social aspect of it, the pool, all the clubs and camps for the kids, the tennis, the great restaurant and bar there at the clubhouse, you can do that. Hey, you can also get golf memberships, 36 holes. You can play it all. Give Crestview a call. Tell them we sent you. We're going to come right back and tell you what's on the network tonight when we return on Sports Daily.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
All right, that's it for us. Good show, Tommy.
Enjoyed it. Good to see you today.
That's right. It's been crazy.
Hope you get
fun.
that bumblebee
And
taken care of
fun.
in your studio.
Yeah, I don't see it anymore. I think it's gone. Jim Rome follows us at 11. Bob and Jeff locally 2 to 4. Then you get Infinity Sports Network programming until another 7 o'clock first pitch with the Royals. Good luck to our bets, your bets, everybody's bets. Let's all win some money tonight. We'll be right back here tomorrow on Sports Daily. So stay tuned then. We got day baseball for the Royals then. We'll break it all down. Talk to you tomorrow.